Yeah, you're gonna be a lot more interesting. Come on. Come here. Come here. Ugh. Come here. Come here. Gosh. Bella, come here. Come here. Just playing with my dog. How's it going from Las Vegas? Come here, Bella. Oh, yeah. You want to do experiments with me? The last time I put you on here, you were so tiny. You're so big now. You're a polar bear. How's it going from Las Vegas? Today we'll be doing Kyusu experiments. And basically we're going to be checking to see how the pour of a Kyusu will affect the way that the tea tastes based on whether we pour straight into a pitcher, do a little swirly thing going on, or if we do the rocking back and forth thing. And this is something that the Kyusu is supposedly designed to be able to do, is to have this kind of like ability to rock back and forth when you infuse the tea, so that when the tea is getting poured out, they're not getting clogged by the filter. And I want to test today if it's actually going to make a big difference in the final results. You can go. Let's see. Hello from Las Vegas to Tea Thoughts, Shiloh from Nev Orthen, Lily Duflove, Tea Queen Parties, Steven, Delphine Gingras, nice to see you guys. Danielle, nice to see you. Nicole, nice to see you. So yeah, again, we're going to be testing, we're probably going to use a traditional Japanese tea, Sencha, if that's okay with you guys. This is going to be testing a pretty old school technique, which is that when people pour tea out of a Kyusu, sometimes they go straight down, and then sometimes they kind of like rock back and forth to pour out the tea slowly. And what's happening there is the water inside the Kyusu is kind of like turning around and helping you sweep up a little bit more of the extra liquor inside. Supposedly that helps create a more balanced infusion. But I'm tired of the supposedly, I just want to test it, so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to test it. I only have one Kyusu on me, so what I'm going to do in between each infusion, I'm just going to do one infusion for each pouring style. And then I'm going to pour cold water in it to just drop the temperature back again, so that we have a consistent kind of level of heat on the teapot throughout all these experiments, if that makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions. Let's get going. I'm aiming for something a little bit less ambitious today after the results of yesterday's experiment, where I just had to, you know, rethink everything that I've done in my tea career. It's nice to have those kinds of tea days where you're like, man, I thought I knew stuff, and then I actually don't really know stuff. So, yeah, I think that's okay. If you haven't seen that yet, or any of the lives, I've actually uploaded them on YouTube. The fundamentals of pouring, preheating, matcha with pu'er. It's not a fundamental. God, that's not a fundamental. It's an experiment. So you're welcome to check that out on YouTube. I can give you the link if you DM me after this. So yeah, the Sencha I'll be using today is the same Sencha that we used for the pouring experiment, a single cultivar Saemidori from Tea and Whisk. This is a really good tea, really balanced. When you do tests like these, be aware of the tea that you're using, because you want to see either, you know, a really balanced representative tea, like a Sencha that tastes like a Sencha, so that you can get kind of like a default view of what your experiment is. Or you can choose a tea with a very expressive quality, so that you can see if it comes out depending on the brew. Or just pick something you know really well and call it a day. This guy I know really well. This is the tea that I poured for my mixology competition in Las Vegas here. The first ever Tea Masters Cup USA was held here in Las Vegas this summer. And stupid me, I entered both the tea preparation category and the mixology category. As someone who doesn't drink, or even, you know, knows how to mix cocktails, I've never done it before. But my friend Tony Gavely from Tea Epicure was like, oh, Ree, you know, you'll be fine. Don't worry. Like, most of us don't have any mixology experience. You should just do it. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. Don't worry. And then all the other people were like, oh, I used to work at a bar. And look at this cocktail from, like, you know, that I developed at the bar that I worked at, you know, a decade ago that now I'm using to compete. And I'm like, oh Jesus. And here I am, I've just never used a cocktail shaker before. I bought my first cocktail shaker on Amazon 2 weeks before the competition. So this was the Sencha that I used for that competition. I made myself sick of it the entire time. So I'm really, really familiar with the Sencha. And that's the kind of tea that you want to use for an experiment like this, because you just know it really well. You just know it. And while I'm weighing these out, we're doing 2 grams, if that's alright with you guys. 2 grams each infusion. And again, I'm going to use the same Kyusu. I don't have 3 of the same Kyusu. Unfortunately. Maybe I will. I'm thinking about getting a second one of these, just to be able to do side-by-sides of Japanese tea. Is that dumb? I don't think it's dumb at all. I think I'm going to do it. Yeah. So we'll do a standard pour first. So we're going to do straight down into the pitcher. And then really quick, I'll swirl cold water to cool the teapot. And then we'll do the, what would you call it? The rocking back and forth? The swirly rocking back and forth. And then there's one more where it's a little bit more aggressive, where you just kind of pour in. And this is kind of an extension of what happened at the pouring experiment, where the kind of angle and the force that you use to pour out the liquid will change the way that the tea tastes. We already know that the way we pour water into a pot will change the way that the tea tastes from our experiments. Now, will the way that we pour water out of a pot also change the way that tea tastes? I'm gonna guess yes. It's pretty likely, but pretty likely is not good enough for me. I think it's gonna be fun to test. Let's get going. I am not going to preheat the pot. I am actually going to cool it down before I brew every single time. I want it to just be like room temperature. So what I'm going to do, and why I'm doing this, is because I want... So for the first experiments, so talking about experiments here, if I just did the experiments consecutively, the first experiment would be with a teapot that's preheated just enough. The second experiment would be using a pot that's fresh from the previous one. It's going to be really, really, really hot. And the third one's going to be even hotter. So there's going to be a kind of bias there. So I'm going to try to, I'm going to try to control for that by first pouring room temperature water in to prep the teapot every single time we go about this. So, this would be a good time for us to have an infrared thermometer. I just realized. So Steven and I decided we should buy an infrared thermometer to check to see what the temperature of the teapots are before and after brewing. Because why not, So, God, why are we so nerdy? I hate myself. Okay. All right. And then I'll be using 190 degree water. Is that good? Pretty high for Sencha, but that's okay. I find that a lot of people are kind of nervous about using hot water for Sencha, but if you have a really good Sencha, it can stand up to hot boiling water. So we're going to use 90 degrees here, not even boiling. Shiloh from Nuev Urden, it's a beautiful tokonami pot. It really is. On first look, it looks like it might be machine made, but it's actually handmade. It's a Shoji Umehara pot. Beautifully light. It's just feather light. So actually this guy weighs less than this guy, which is a lot smaller. This is a banko. And banko teapots tend to be a lot heavier. This one's about 20 grams lighter than this smaller teapot here. Just the joy to use. Okie dokie. Experiment notes. If you're doing side-by-sides, make sure that you have the tea layered on the bottom of the teapot about the same way. Because if you have a big pile of leaves like this, versus you have a pile of leaves that's kind of spread out, it's going to affect the results a little bit as well. And then I got my computer here. I'm going to put in a timer. How long? I'm going to say... I'm going to aim for... let me just use a stopwatch so I know where I'm at. You ready? Get a couple more degrees back on here. And then again, the most underrated part of the tea brewing experience. The dry leaves without actually brewing them yet. I know I didn't preheat the pot, but they still smell so good. Inside the clay, it smells like corn and green beans. Oh, it smells so good. I'll never get tired of that smell, man. Never. Okay. Using what we learned, we're going to use the same pour the entire time. What we're changing now is how we pour out of the teapot. Capiche? You got it? Yell at me if I'm not doing this right, okay? We'll use the re-classic, the grandma pour, okay? Ready? Go. And in the background, I'm not sure if you can hear my dog panting. She's just really excited about this experiment, like I am. That's what you get for having a 6-month-old golden doodle. Her name's Bella. She's like a polar bear. I don't know why I let her into my tea room. It's quite dangerous, to be honest. I do pour like a grandma. Why do I pour like a grandma? I pour really slow. Okay. And then getting to the top, it took me 37 seconds to pour in. So now, thinking about how to design experiments, the next time we pour out of the same pot, you'll want to be able to pour exactly 37 seconds, okay? And then I'm going to pour out at the minute mark. And this one I'll just go straight down. So no angle, I'm just pouring straight down. No rocking back and forth. And the next step, or the next infusion of this, the next session of this, I'm going to clean out the leaves and just brew a fresh batch of tea. I'm going to do the rocking back and forth motion. Okay, I'm going to try to do this as fast as possible so that we're not letting these cool down too much. I'm going to cover this. There we go. All right, next one. So that's the first one, standard pour. Basic, nothing crazy about it. And then the next one we're going to go rocking back and forth. You might have seen this in videos of really legit people from Japan who are brewing Sencha. They'll go rock back and forth. And that's what I'm going to copy today. That's actually the way that I usually brew Sencha. So I do like the concept of being able to swirl around the leaves and catch any water that's stuck. Because what's happening in the original infusion, because Sencha is so fine, a lot of water gets trapped in those leaves. And if you're going from infusion to infusion, it might oversteep. But we're just going to check the first infusion here. Okay. I'm going to pour room temperature water to cool it back down. Do you guys see what I mean by doing this? Pouring room temperature water back into the pot, because right now it's hot. If I did a second experiment like this, it would not be fair to the first one, because the first one wasn't as preheated. So, you know, in basic terms, I'm just trying to keep it consistent. Alright. Next shebang. Same thing. 2 grams of Saemidori Sencha. A dog. You consistent too? You having a good time too? Smells good as well. Waiting for 190 degree water out of my Bonavita kettle. And then we want a 37-second pouring rate. Okay. Guys, ready? Wait, do I have enough water in here? Go check. Yeah, I got enough water. Okay. Ready? Go. I pour like a grandma, it's true. No, why do I pour like a grandma? Halfway through. "25 seconds. Okay, gotta finish in 7 seconds. 3, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. Okay, I was off by like a second. Now, what's gonna happen? Let's do this rocking back and forth motion. I'm gonna answer chat in a little bit because I'm trying to concentrate here. Okay? So this rocking back and forth motion, does it make a difference when brewing tea? There's a color difference already! And then, because of this time, extra time that I'm spending to do this, I'm also adding another 15 to 20 total seconds to the brew. This is crazy! Look at the color difference! Oh my god! That's crazy! Wow. You guys see this? Look at that color difference. See how this is yellow and really, really clear? And this one's like nuclear green. That's freaking crazy, dude. The hell? Wow. Do you see that? Do you see that? It's crazy. Oh my god. Okay, so... Wow, I don't want to wait to do the second one. I want to taste this now. I'm really interested to see what the results are. So this is a standard pour without shaking. Okay, so all I did was I poured straight out of the pot and just went for it. And you can see it's a lot clearer. All right. And then for this one here, I did the rocking back and forth motion, and a lot of sediment was picked up during that swirling process, and that's why it's so much greener. So this is the one standard, and this is the one with the swirling back and forth motion. They're so different! Ah! Okay, I can't wait. I'm gonna drink some of this while I wait for my kettle to boil for the third test. And even in the cup, the one on the left, this one here, is yellow and clear, and then the one on the right, is green. Okay, let me answer some questions and see what you guys are talking about, because I missed out. Shiloh, hard not to love the nuances of tea, nerdiness and all. Grandmas in Yunnan make awesome tea. They know what's up with the slow pour. Do they also have slow pours there? Ashley from Mansa Tea, what's the best way to pour for pu'er? I personally think that there's a pretty good... I like the effect of the slow pour. From the pouring experiments that I did the other day, I really like the effect of the slow, steady pour. That's usually my style. Let's see. So this one is clear. It's very light and clean. It's a little bit on the light side. I would have steeped a little bit longer, but very pleasant. And it's got a really nice aftertaste. Now let's compare it to the Kyusu pour that was rocked back and forth. Okay, so I was doing this when I was pouring out. So there's that mechanical component added to the tea. So you're getting a little bit more extraction when you do that. Wow. It's still going. It's still going. It's like... Wow. So there's a huge texture difference between the first one and the second one. I really, really like texture. So when I taste a tea that has kind of like that extra layer of just... It's almost like gelatin, you know? It's like, it's got some more heft to it. It's almost a little bit more chewy. I really, really like that. And the infusion with the rocking back and forth actually got more of that out from the tea. The flavor is a little bit more quote-unquote umami, which is a savory kind of component to it. The first one's a little bit more clear, straightforward. The second one has a little bit more going on. Yeah, the texture is so much more rich without going overboard, which is really interesting because it's a very subtle kind of like degree change, but especially when it comes to Japanese tea, texture can be a lot of the game that you're playing because these teas can be kind of finicky, they can be kind of sharp, grassy, When something is thin and grassy, it's going to taste a lot different than something that's thick and luscious and grassy. So that's why I think this method of the Kyusu being poured out with the rocking motion was developed, because there is quite a big difference between these two infusions. Let's do the last one, and let's do a really slow, steady pour out this time. And then let me know if you have any questions about what's going on here. I know it's a very specific experiment, and that's okay. I personally, like I said, use the back and forth motion. Just in theory, I've never tested it before, but I noticed just offhand, not doing a side-by-side, that the Sencha that I brewed using the back and forth motion had more of that rich kind of like textural thing going on. Yo, polar bear, can you calm down a little bit? Come here. Come here. Yeah. I'm trying to do this experiment. What's up? Okay. That's inconsistent, Ree. You have more joy in the third pot because your dog was playing with you. Okay. So third infusion, or third session, we're gonna test the... I'm gonna change it up. Instead of doing a rocking back and forth a little bit more violently, I want to go really, really, really slow and gentle to see if I can coax out something a little bit different from what we have so far. Is that okay? Do you guys have a last minute suggestion before I do this? Before I commit? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Let's see. Lucy's Brew, nice to see you. My friends from Sinensis in Mexico. Nice to see all of you? Who's behind that account? Shiloh, they make strong but balanced pu'er. They just crack off a piece of pincha, then pour with intention and very slowly. At least the dye and honey grandmas. It makes for very intense brews. Maybe I'm a dye grandma in my past life. I don't know. I would be more wise, I think, if I were. Steep Leaf Shop, nice to see you. Ashley, I usually go with the slow pour not to disturb the leaves as much. It also gives them more time to open up, but we'll need to do a side-by-side testing it to prove it one way or another. That's the thing, like, I do have a specific way of doing things, but I've never, like, side-by-sided them, I think concepts are good. A lot of things that people say work well in theory, and there's a reason why that wisdom was passed down, but it depends on so many different factors. Like, this is a very friendly sencha, so doing this agitation motion here is doing pretty well with it. But imagine if you had a pretty kind of like bitter, punchy summer harvest sencha, which is known for being a little bit more astringent. It's already got some texture to it. It's already got some grit to it. Do you want to choose to use this method for that sencha, or do you want to use a standard method? Does that make sense? We need to adjust our results and how we apply the results based on what we find in each specific situation. So yeah, okay, making sure that this is all like nice and even. So yeah, let's go low and slow on this one. Is that okay? Anyone have any other suggestions for what pour we do? I like texture. I'm always chasing after texture. TJ9, nice to see you. Bhutar Bakes, I love your experiments. I love them too. I'm learning so much. Me too. And I love my open-minded approach as well. That means I can make myself wrong all the time. But the good thing about being wrong now just means that you're less wrong the next time. So I like that. I want to be wrong now so I can be right next time. I think doing this is fun. So I appreciate it. I'm glad that you think the same way. Sometimes a little bit scary doing these experiments because I don't know what I'm going to find. Yeah, like yesterday, I was joking a little bit on Instagram about how I'm like, oh my god, I poured my pu'er wrong. I'm thinking about everything I did wrong, and partially yes, but also I'm partially also serious because I think about all the amazing teas that have come across my tea table that have just been somehow, landed to me. Just beautiful aged show pu'ers, like really good heichas and stuff that's just really special. And I wish that I'd done these sooner so that I had a little bit of extra knowledge to be able to squeeze out as much as possible from those amazing teas. So, you know, I kind of thought about that. Like, if only I was doing this a little bit sooner so that I have more options. Basically, when we do this, we have more options, we have more control, and something that seems very out of our control, like, why does this tea taste this way? I don't understand. What am I doing wrong? You get to take back all of that uncertainty and lack of knowledge, you know, and control the way that your tea tastes. So I personally have a lot of confidence in the way that I brew tea because I know all of the factors that are going on. I'm aware of them. I can't always perfectly guess exactly how to brew a tea, but I always know that there are other factors that I could be controlling for that I could adjust the next time. So it's very rewarding. Okay, this guy's at 190 now. I was just waiting for the water to cool. Esther Blanc, nice to see you. Capillo Ashley, hello. From Las Vegas. Esther, brewing pour as you speak, leaving the lid on in between infusions for the first time in a long time. Me too. This sucks. Yeah. Remember, okay, we need to test this with another material as well, because yesterday's test with puer, we found that given glass, it's better to leave the lid on. But if you have something ultra hot like silver, or a really thick wood-fired clay gaiwan like this guy over here, it might be different. I think with puer, I'm not sure what you guys think, but I think with puer it's a safe bet that it's not going to overcook. But if we're dealing with a green tea, I'm sure our results will be different. So, yeah. Mileage may vary. Okay, let's get this shebang going. 37-second brew. We're going to match the first one. We're going to do a slow pour out. But the pour of the water in is going to be the same. Ready? Go. Channeling my inner Dai or honey grandma, Shiloh. If I'm doing that, I'm like, I hope my kids all go to nursing school. That'd be really nice. No, I'm channeling Filipino moms there. It's not true. That's, I'm not the perfect Filipino daughter. I should have gone to nursing school, or become a doctor, or become a lawyer or something, but I do all this tea stuff. Okay. Need to make it faster. 37. Ah! I'm like 2 seconds off. Actually, I'm 3 seconds off. Ah, my god! I'm like 5 seconds off. I should have been paying attention. Not a honey grandma. Okay. I'm like 8 seconds off. Slowly. Okay. So what I'm doing here, I'm reducing the friction of the tea to see if this kind of like really gentle kind of like flowing down will change the texture at all whatsoever. I do this a lot for gyokuro or kabusecha because I think that it preserves the texture a little bit in a different way than the rocking back and forth does. I'm just going to do one rock back and forth or a couple just to get kind of like the flavor out, but not overdoing it. Okay. And that added another 30 seconds to the brew. So you gotta count for that. Okay. Different colors, bros! So this one's clear, the standard one is clear. The one with the rocking back and forth is more green and dark. This last one is quite green as well without a lot of the rocking back and forth. So I wonder how it's going to taste like. I'm going to guess it's going to be somewhere in between the two of them. And I'm tasting using non-preheated cups consistently. Alright, let's see. I'm knocking over my ukulele. Crazy dog. That's interesting. This doesn't have a lot of taste. Why is that? Yeah, out of all of them, that seems to have the least amount of taste. That doesn't make any sense because that was the tea with the longest brew. So what's going on there? See, it's got a ton of flavor. The standard one has a ton of flavor. The rocking back and forth one has a lot of texture and a little bit of bitterness now, but very balanced. And then this one, doesn't have as much flavor. I wonder why. That's an anomaly to me, because could it be that by just pouring a little bit too slow, we reduce the amount of flavor in the tea? I'm confused. And that's weird, because this was the tea with the longest overall brew time, right? We added another like 30 seconds to it. So I don't understand why this one has less texture. But what is going on is the aftertaste is really long. So this is a tea that doesn't have as much flavor up front. Why, I don't know. But the aftertaste is really delicious. I don't understand why. Any idea why? Wow, well that's interesting. And that's the way I like to brew sencha like that sometimes too. Or gyokuro. And apparently what I'm doing is I'm extending the aftertaste and sacrificing a little bit of flavor. I wonder why that is. I wonder if it's because was some of the flavor stuck in the leaves when I was pouring out. That, or maybe the act of pouring on the side of the teapot somehow reduced the flavor because of exposure to glass. I'm not sure, actually. That's probably the biggest question mark I've had all week with these experiments. I don't know why. So flavor, texture, and balance, aftertaste is our result from the different kinds of pours. Try it again. Yeah, this tea doesn't have a lot of flavor up front. All of its character is in the aftertaste. That's so odd. What is going on there? I don't know. And I brew them at about the same temperature too. Let's see the color differences again. And the cut. So the most cloudy one is the one that we should have expected to be the most cloudy because of the most mechanical agitation. The one in the middle is the most green. It's got the most sediment. And that's what's happening when we're rocking the teapot back and forth. This is the one that we rocked the teapot back and forth to move in. You can see that there is all that dust collected on the bottom. And that's because when you rock the Kyusu back and forth, you're actually, making abrasions in the leaves, and those are breaking off. And that's what's happening to cause the liquor to be more cloudy, more green, with more sediments. But that's not necessarily a bad thing if you're actually wanting more of that intensity, more of that texture. Those little floaties are going to be suspended in the water, and it's going to make the tea taste more thick. This is what you want, okay? With a standard pour, we just poured out. So all of the sediment that's in there is getting trapped inside the pot. The filter is doing its job. And so we have much less sediment, if you can see. Much less sediment. There's a lot more dust. You can see. And that now is making the taste of the first standard Kyusu pour a lot more clear, a lot more kind of bright and vibrant. The flavors are more distinct in this one, I'd say. Very easy drinking. So this is easy drinking. This one is like full and I think more of itself, to be honest. I think that the very first one is a little bit too light for me. A little bit too elegant. But if you're looking for a really soft, easy drinking, straightforward, clear brew, just pouring straight works. Bring out more texture, a little bit more intensity. Do the rocking back and forth. And then the last one. Let's revisit this one. This is the weird one. Yeah, initially, what I do taste is not flavor, but texture. So there's this coating mouthfeel that I get from the very carefully poured out tea. So what I did, I poured it out on the side of the glass. and tilted the pot or the pitcher so that there's very little kind of like momentum in the liquor going on. And what I think that's doing is I think it's preserving some of that kind of intact texture in the tea. But I'm just talking out of my ass, okay? Like, I'm just trying to find a solution as to why this tastes the way it does. But the third one, which is my big question mark, is the aftertaste is really long. And there's a coating kind of like texture on the palate that I don't get from any of the other ones. Which makes sense because the style, they're very soft, kind of like pouring out on the side of the pitcher and pouring it out slowly. That's what I use for gyokura. So you see how the profile that we're getting from each of these senchas can be used for a different kind of tea to bring out more qualities of that tea that might be more effective. So let's think. What would you use the first style for? Standard. Standard is good if you're just trying to brew a tea for the first time and you just want to know what it is. Who are you? What do you like? You know, like, what are the characteristics of this tea? If you're trying to do a cultivar study, for example, like you're trying to taste the difference between Yabukita and Saemidori and Asatsuyu Sencha, you might want to brew them this way so that you're just getting the standard brew of each, okay? Not highlighting, not taking away too much. And if you like your sencha to be clear, you don't like the grassy taste too much, you don't like the thick brothiness too much, if you like high mountain oolong, you know, like me, you might like this style of brewing. It's very clear. This one, I think these two could be used. No, I actually take that back. I was about to say this one could be used for gyokuro, but gyokuro can be very finicky. So the rocking back and forth with the gyokuro, I'm not sure if it would be beneficial for such a sensitive tea. I would use this method for senchas and kabusechas that have umami that you want to extract more of. Ones that are not too sensitive. Because if you use this method for a tea that's already quite finicky, like a summer sencha or a gyokuro, you know, just any Japanese green tea that you know, if you so much as breathe on it, it's going to fall over because it's just so sensitive, I wouldn't use this method. It might just make it overly extracted, you might get too much out of it. Now the third one I think is what I'd use for gyokuro. So it's soft, it's gentle, it preserves that really coating kind of aspect of the texture, and that's what you want with gyokuro. And gyokuro often doesn't have a lot of strong flavor anyway, personally speaking. I don't tend to go for the gyokuros that are like umami punch, like it's just way too much for me. I like the ones that are a little bit more laid back. So that's what I'd use this for. And this practice, like matching our results for applications, is important because we're not just doing experiments, we're just scales and temperature and stuff. We're actually doing this to be able to apply it on the field when we're brewing for other people to enhance their experience, or for yourself when you're brewing at home by yourself. This can be used for hojicha too. So hojicha, other Japanese green teas, bancha, kocha, black tea, if you're using a Kyusu, because just because it's a Japanese Kyusu doesn't mean you can only brew Japanese green tea in it, okay? I actually use this guy here. It's a Korean Kyusu. Beautiful. For white tea. And you can use the same techniques, the standard, the rocking back and forth, the soft pour, to get a different result from your tea. Same with Ishin teapots. I just don't have two identical Ishin teapots to compare at hand that I'd wanted to be able to do. Shiloh, intriguing, delicate pour equals more delicate notes and returning sweetness and nuances of delicate teas. I'd say so too. I have also brewed green oolong in this pot, and I don't do the shaking back and forth with them because I like that kind of clear flavor. I actually use my Tokoname teapot for green tea and also some green oolong. Again, just because it's Japanese style doesn't mean it only is suited for Japanese teas. And there are even some Kyusu from Japan that I've tried that are just horrible with Japanese green tea. or just any Japanese green tea that I've tried them with. I have a Tokoname carbonized, kind of like it's reduction fired. It looks a lot different from this, but it doesn't taste good with any Japanese green tea or any Japanese tea for that matter. I use it for Chinese Sencha, Chinese rock tea, like Da Hong Pao and Rogue Wei. So it's a weird match. We just gotta test. Delphine, amen to that Kyusu for all teas. I'm actually a Kyusu. I prefer Kyusus over pots. There's something about the control that you have when you do that rocking back and forth, and also when you pour out of Kyusu, the filter tends to get clogged when you're brewing. Can you even see the inside of it? No, it's just dark. This way. No. This way. No. Anyway, there's a filter right here, right? If when you're pouring out, the filter gets clogged, you can actually tilt instead of pouring out straight. Pour out like this so that the pot is kind of like trickling. So instead of the liquor going straight out, the liquor is kind of like pouring down the side. That means that when the leaves pour out, the leaves will be kind of shifted down away from the filter and you won't clog your filter as much. And these are all things that you'll get used to as you handle your teapots more over time. Slight adjustments you can make. So yeah, and that's pretty good. I'll have to do the same thing for my other Kyusus because each one has a different structure that will cause them to brew differently as well. But I just want to use my Tokoname as just kind of like a nice baseline comparison, and I'm pretty surprised by the results. I'm glad that I could just confirm what I knew already about that technique. And like just from this whole week, I'm like, man, lots of little micro adjustments I need to be doing with my pots and pouring. So yeah, any questions, let me know. But this has been really, really fun. I next time would like to get a second one of these so that I can see if the way that you pour throughout the entire session will affect the final product later on. Because another component of the pour is, are you getting all of the little kind of like drops of fluid that are inside the teapot out when you're brewing tea? Because those little guys, let's see if I left any. Let's see if I left any at all. Yeah. Did I leave any? No, I'm a big stickler for that. I like to pour out every single little drop of tea from the inside of a pot, because if there's a tiny drop of tea that's still brewing inside, that could add a lot more bitterness, astringency, or maybe complexity to the next steep. I personally don't like to deal with that. I want to pour out every single drop. But if there's one last thing to think about with Kyusu, sometimes they can clog a little bit, so make sure that you pour out every single drop from the Kyusu when you're brewing, unless you're doing it on purpose to make the next steep more intense, so that you're not stewing the tea in between infusions. But that's something we gotta do with another copy of one of these. So if anyone has another Shoryu, pot lying around that looks exactly like mine, let me know. I can take it off your hands. You didn't want it anyway. It's an ugly pot. You don't want two of them. You don't even want one of them. Let me have two of them. Okay. So thank you so much for joining me today. I've had a lot of fun. Tomorrow's going to be our last experiments that we'll be doing together, because on Friday I'm going to be off to Taiwan for 3 weeks for the third time this year. I'm going to be leaving all of this stuff behind. That's why I'm getting this out of my system. Not bringing really much teaware at all, and just bringing myself and my crew of tea friends. So I'm leading a tea enthusiast tour to Taiwan to show everyone like what really changed my life in Taiwan, which is just being elbows deep into the tea. We'll be making tea. We'll be traveling to tea museums. We're going to Alishan. We're going to Hualien. We're going everywhere. It's going to be amazing. So that's starting on Sunday, when I arrived there after my 24-hour kind of like, transit time. So I'll be there from November 16 until December 4. So please stay tuned and let me know if there's anything about Taiwan you'd like to learn. This has been really fun. We have one more experiment tomorrow. What that is, I don't know. So let me know if you have any questions, any ideas for that. I also have the Discord server link on my profile for you guys who want to be able to talk about all the stuff after the live as well. And I'll be updating with pictures from Taiwan, both on IG and on Discord. So yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Shiloh, thank you so much for the safe travels wish. Lucy, thank you so much. We have one more tomorrow, and then when I get back, it's going to be back to the experiment run. I'm going to be doing water quality when I get back. I'm so excited! Water formula by the end of the year. I pinky promised about it. Homemade water. It's going to be a lot of work in December for that, but I'll be doing that live with you guys so we can discuss. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much, and good night from Las Vegas.